interesting. Do you know who Dr. Peter McCullough is? You know who he is, right?
Oh yeah,
I saw an
yeah.
interesting video yesterday with him talking about the vaccines and the studies that are coming out showing how vaccinated children have all these ailments where the unvaccinated children have none of them. And he was talking about, of course, the ADHD and Asperger's and autism. And he mentioned so many other things, or he said autism spectrum, but he mentioned so many other things even prior to that, oh, having to wear the
Tubes in their ears.
the tubes in their ears, and oh my gosh, I can't remember. I need to find that video again because I didn't finish watching it. But I mean, I was close to done, and then Tyler started talking to me, so I turned it off. But I want to find it again.
Yeah, I'll send it over. We can chat about that because RFK Jr. said a lot, and it has done a lot of research on autism, ADHD,
Yeah,
spectrum stuff, and vaccines. And I've got a chart that I sent to Taylor showing the spike. Yeah, it's because as a teacher, she's seeing it also.
sure, absolutely. But I'm excited that they're finally studying kids who aren't vaccinated, because it's one thing to study kids who are. I mean, 90% of the population has vaccinated children, but the 10% that aren't vaccinated, and my numbers are skewed because I don't really know, but the ones that aren't vaccinated are the ones that don't have all these.
I think they're
amazing.
Yeah. Well, I mean, all you have to do is look at the Amish. They don't have ADHD.
Yeah.
So why is that? Well, they don't. I mean, the commonality is they don't vaccinate. So they don't do, and they probably eat a lot cleaner, and they've got, a lot of things that are going their way that way. They live more naturally. Maybe less stress,
Yeah. I watched an interesting video about them the other day. Yeah, they're an interesting culture. And there's different levels of being Amish. So the video was based on the fundamental Amish, like the old world Amish lifestyles. And they are exactly what we talked about, but they're homeschooled, and their schooling is strictly biblical.
Nice.
They learn how to read and discern and understand and discuss scripture, and that's how they learn how to write. It's all through the Bible. Isn't that funny? But then Jack Hibbs' book.
No, that's amazing. It's not funny. It's great.
Jack Hibbs' book, the one that he just came out, Days of Deception. Last night I was reading that education, when the Pilgrims came over here, their children were more educated than the Queen Mother of England, which I guess was their education system over there. And their entire education was based on biblical scripture. Same thing the Amish do. And they were smarter and well-read and well-versed and better written, well-written, more well-written than the English.
I'm not surprised. I mean, I've seen things where there's one influencer that I watch who's hysterical, and I'll turn you on to her later if you want. But she was talking about her kids were all excited. She homeschools, and she play acts everything, and she doesn't show her children, but you might hear them because she doesn't want her children on video, which I totally get. And they were all about the bus. They wanted to ride the bus. We don't get to ride the bus, And she's like, she goes, yeah, but you know what? They go on the bus and they go to school, and they're there for, however many hours, and, then they ride the bus home, and, it's like a 9-hour day. And she's like, we finish school in about an hour and a half to 2 hours every day, and you get to play, and you get to do whatever you want all day long, outside, or, they do a lot of different activities, but they were just honed in on the bus.
Oh, that's so cute.
But it's when you get right down to it, and all your teaching is what's needed, reading, writing, and arithmetic, and, civics would be another good thing. But there's not, they don't have a lot of fluff in there, and so they don't have to go to school as long, and they can concentrate on the different areas and,
Mhm.
you know, do biblical teaching.
Mhm. I love it.
So yeah, so I think might be some fallacy too around, I don't know, because I didn't do it, homeschooling, that it might not be as hard as, you know, and there are groups that you can get into too that
Yeah.
would help with that. And I think I told you about that one fundraiser I went to for that school that's online, and it's all biblical teaching.
Mhm.
And they want to set up in churches. So they want to have like a schoolhouse situation
Yeah.
in a church where they provide all of the material, and all they have is somebody there to help monitor and help the kids, but they could have K through 12, just like a schoolhouse used to have.
Cool. That's cool. Yeah.
So it's
So
an
the state of
answer
California
to that.
won't recognize a homeschool a curriculum that's biblically based. They won't show them as being high school graduates if the homeschool curriculum is Christian or biblical.
I think there's something in Florida as well with being able to get funding. Like, you know,
Yeah.
how I think there are some instances where funding will go with the child. Like President Trump has said he wants to see that happen so people can put their kids in whatever school they feel is best for them. And I think there's still something in Florida that blocks the Christian
Here,
based learning.
That's what it is. It's not that they won't recognize it. They won't provide any funding for it.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, no, that's not true, because some of the parents came back and said, well, we'll just pay for it ourselves. And the state said, we still will not. So yeah, they still will not recognize them as high school graduates if it's a Christian. I was having a conversation with my friend, Tyler's friend's fiance last night, and she's very young. She's 25 or 26 and so well versed in biblical doctrine. She's been a Christian her whole life. She's kind of like Bree, just a younger version of Bree. But anyway, we were talking last night, and she was like, I think Gavin Newsom's demonically possessed. Because if you watch him talk about abortion, he's like gleeful about it.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it's just amazing to me that they want to just destroy lives. Like, he's trying to get Arizona doctors to come over here to perform abortions because they can't do it in Arizona. He's passed a temporary executive order that they can come into the state of California if they're medically licensed in Arizona to perform abortions. Like, what? Yeah.
No, it goes back to child sacrifice, and
I know.
Yeah, that's part of their. But that's frightening, and I think I sent you, and we can talk about that too. Is that Florida has on its, it will be on our to vote. I think it'll be in the primary, and then I don't know if it'll be in the primary or if it will just go straight to the regular vote. And I don't know if I can find it now to bring it up, but it talked about what the abortion, it's Amendment 4 in Florida, and it would allow abortion all the way up to, and I think after the child is born. Yeah. It's frightening. And if people don't fully understand, which we will definitely be trying to educate people in that situation, because it's because the way that they word things is always makes it look so much better than it really is. And I can't remember where I know I sent it to you because I was just like, oh my goodness. But all the things that it would allow, and it's like, no, here it is. So Amendment 4 is deceptive, don't be fooled. The most extreme abortion law ever proposed will appear on the November ballot in Florida as Amendment 4, so it's going to be during the general. Amendment 4 will permit abortion for any reason up to and during birth.
Unbelievable.
Not even health or safety regulations will survive. Unscrupulous abortionists will be totally unregulated.
Mhm.
Here's what else it means: no parental consent, no informed consent, no reflection or waiting period, no health or safety regulations, no qualification requirements for abortionists or abortion clinics, no limit on late-term abortions, no limit on brutal dismemberment abortions, no limit on aborting babies to harvest their organs.
Sick.
And it says, except for parental notification, every law and regulation regarding abortion will be overturned by this amendment. So, and that's, you know, it will be deceptively placed. The wording always is deceptive.
Mm-hmm.
And so I would just say that, you know, if you have some type of amendment for abortion, you know, for you all to vote for in whatever state you're in, do your research and vote your values, because you might be for a certain amount of abortion, but are you for all the way up to and including birth? I mean, where does it stop?
Yeah.
So just
Yeah.
think about that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just awful. It's awful.
No, it is awful. So, but
we talk about it a lot, that we live in an upside down world, but the more you see stuff like that, the more you realize that the upside down world is so much worse than we could have ever imagined. So I sent you a video actually earlier about Kellogg's. Did you see it? You probably haven't even been on Instagram yet, but Fox News just did an interview with somebody. I'm not sure who the guy is, but with an interview with a guy from who I guess was researching Kellogg's. I'm not sure, but they have, he was saying, you know, they have to take all of these ingredients that they put into our cereals out just to ship across the border to Canada, to ship over to England and the EU, but yet they want to put them in ours. And so they were questioned about it. And they said that they've done polls. They said that their studies show that children they prefer those ingredients. Children prefer those ingredients. So that's the reason that they leave them in the cereals. So, so yeah, so
they have no idea what they are, but they do prefer them.
Yeah. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Taste test, you know, give them the taste test. I'm sure so, study is giving them something that has all of these flavor enhancers in it and these artificial dyes, and then giving them something that's actually more natural and less flavor enhancing, but is the way it's supposed to taste. And what do you think a kid's going to prefer? Who's been eating that cereal for how many years as it is? Of course, that's what they're going to prefer.
It jacks them up.
Of course.
So my question to you, to be a little bit more upside down, will that be child abuse if we don't let our children eat those foods?
That's a good question.
Just saying, you know, it'll, you know, is it going to trickle into that also? Well, you won't buy your child these, you know, whatever, you know, cereals.
So I guess there is a petition right now for them to have to remove the food dyes from their cereal. And so when Fox News reached out to them and said, you know, what will you do under those circumstances? Their response was, well, of course, if it becomes a federal or state mandate or law, we will comply.
There's so many, there's been so much research done on it, even on the NIH, even on our government websites, that this stuff is not good. It's known. It's already known to cause hyperactivity, to cause cancers, to cause all the things, and yet we have to be made and forced to not put it in our food. I mean,
I know. And the thing of it is it's just the food coloring that they're talking about removing. It's not the BHT. It's not the pesticides. It's not the, you know, the MSG. It's not all the other chemicals that they're putting in the food, all the preservatives, all the flavor enhancers. It's just the food dyes. I mean, it's a start, don't get me wrong, but
yeah. Yeah, but they're balking at that. And well, if they make us do it, then we will. But the UK and Canada and whatnot, they don't know what they're talking about when they won't let it come over here.
Yeah.
Again, I step back to, how does it make sense to have two products?
It
How does it
doesn't.
make sense?
It does.
No, it doesn't.
It's cheaper to make it the way they make it here, which is ridiculous in and of itself. Like, to buy anything natural for ingredient purposes, you're going to pay a premium. So they're paying a premium. So I'm sure over in Canada and England and the other parts of the world that have those special natural cereals, they're probably paying more money for them than they would here. But at the same time, why wouldn't you do it here? Why wouldn't you just spend the extra money for the ingredients here and then make the people pay for it? Oh, I know why. Because most of those cereals are government subsidized. They are part of the WIC program. The poor people that are on the government support have to go and buy these cereals. And so then they're not so dependent on the medical healthcare system if they're not eating junk. It's a full circle.
Oh, absolutely. It's again, follow the money and see where it's leading. But yeah, it's going back to what we were talking about with schools and whatnot, it's another way that they dumb down our kids.
Yep.
It honestly is. How is a child able to sit and focus and study when they've been given so much sugar and all of these dyes that no causes hyperactivity? I mean, the kids are set up for failure.
And 70 vaccines
Absolutely.
by the time they get to kindergarten.
Right? Exactly. Yeah. And if you don't believe that, we have pictures and documentation showing that one. It's horrific.
Yep.
Yeah, it really is. Why do they need so many of them? I don't know. So, yeah. I mean, I know people that had their children vaccinated as babies, and literally when they left the office and they're driving, they saw their child morphing. It worked that fast. Wow. Because the child's system was not able, some kids are not able to detox that out of their system. And there's just so many different adjuvants that are in it that cause all kind of issues neurologically.
Yeah.
So it's a, yeah. When you take a look at everything that's in there, it's a disaster waiting to happen. The soup of toxicity.
Yep.
That people are putting in. And I mean, we both did it. We both vaccinated our kids.
We didn't know any different
until we didn't know better.
Yeah.
I didn't know better until I was educated, and and that's, unfortunately they had a lot of their vaccines, and fortunately they were not on the kind of schedule that is now.
Yes, no, they were.
My kids were born. Yeah. My kids were born in 91 and 94, and so there were not as many on the schedule at that point in time. Right. But there were some new good ones coming along, like the chickenpox vaccine. I had chickenpox, and I live to tell about it.
What?
And I know. I am
so shocked, Sharon.
My husband, and I'm not scarred for life either.
Mom threw him in a room with other kids that had chicken pox so that he could get it. You want to be exposed to that stuff. You want to build that natural immunity.
Exactly.
It blows my mind.
Natural immunity. That's what you want, not something that might give you some immunity, which I think is also creating issues now for the older populations, because kids are not getting chicken pox. Older people are not being re-inoculated, and they're getting shingles. So shingles is now more prevalent.
Yeah.
That's one theory. Do some research on that. But yeah, we need our kids to go through, whatever disease, mumps, measles, chicken pox. Most people do not die from them. So
they don't. And if they do, there's an underlying comorbidity or cofactor for it. Typically, it's not just because they got it. When Tyler and I were going through, don't judge me for this because of my values have changed since then, but when Tyler and I were going through IVF, one of the doctors was adamant that I should go get a chickenpox vaccine because I'd only had a very slight case of of pox when I was a kid. I never did. And I wasn't even educated on vaccines, but I was like, why would I get it? What? I'm 40 something years old. Why would I go get a chickenpox vaccine? But yeah, she really wanted me to go to just a grocery store that has a pharmacy and let them pop me with a chickenpox vaccine because it was so dangerous to get chickenpox while you're trying to make a baby. And I'm like, what are the odds that I'm going to get chickenpox? Like, really?
Yeah.
So it is a little shocking. And I don't think there was any maliciousness behind her suggesting that. It's just how she's educated, right? And so it just is baffling to me that as a 40-something-year-old adult, they're still pushing what would have been a child vaccine on adults as if it was something that they needed to have in order to survive. And that was the way she was making it so life and death in the conversation that we had that I actually walked out feeling silly because it was comical to me how big of a
How
deal.
how could you not do that? I mean, you're like, you're going to hurt your baby.
I know.
Who's probably most protected inside that womb. Yeah.
Well, I don't have a womb, but yeah.
I had a similar, I had a similar situation with my oldest, who is 32. Will be 33 this year. And we were at the pediatrician, and this was when she was in high school. She never got chickenpox. I tried. Neither one of my kids did. They were put with different kids, you know. I'm a bad mom. And they never contracted it. And now my oldest did have a very slight, like 25, 30 pox when as soon as I stopped nursing, like the next week, she contracted chickenpox, but it was a very, very minor case. Yeah. So I had this pediatrician that was just hammering me, and my sister died because she got chickenpox. She was, whatever. It just went on and on with, I think she might've been pregnant. And it just went on and on. Yeah. And I was just being, made to feel extremely guilty, and you need to get your kid vaccinated for chickenpox. And I said, you know what, titer her. Let's see if she titers for chickenpox, because she did have some. Well, she didn't titer, and we never did. But I was like, I got to get out of here.
Right.
So I had her titered, and so she didn't titer high enough for having had chickenpox, which I wasn't sure if she would or not with the minor case that she had. I thought, well, if she did, that would be amazing, because she didn't even know to really scratch at whatever it was, 7-8 months old. But she did get it's probably been 5 or so years now, shingles.
Really?
Did get shingles. Yeah. And because they're like, and shingles is, can be bad. It can be really, really painful and bad. And the key is to catch it early. And they do, and this, you know what, I don't lean into medicine typically, and I don't know what they use, but there is some kind of pill that you can take as soon as you find out you have it, and it really alleviates the symptoms and the issues with it, because it can go on. I know people who've had it for months and months and months.
I had a friend end up in the ER because it was in his head. It started on one side of his head and just worked its way down, and he was in so much excruciating pain. So much.
Yeah.
But
yeah,
my grandfather
so it's one thing I would definitely look into if you suspect it.
Yeah.
But there's also the other things you can do around that at the same time, because I was also working with a holistic person, and she's like, make sure she takes these things also to help boost the immune system.
That's good.
There's things you can do to help boost the immune system, but she was like, make sure she goes ahead and takes that, so that it'll, because it hits nerves. it's just can be extremely excruciating, and you don't know which nerves it's going to land on. Oh.
Yeah.
So, there's some things that medicine might be, a good thing for.
Sure.
So do look into it. We're not saying don't, nothing, but do research what you're putting in your body. Because it's your body, and well, it could be life altering. So just
the one thing that I will say about doing research is be careful what websites you do your research on, because if you do a search for something like shingles or something like chicken pox, the majority of the websites that you see are going to tell you need to get vaccinated and it's life endangering and all this other stuff. So you want to do I would do a search for holistic treatments or holistic or natural treatments, something that would not trigger mainstream medicine, because it's always going to immediately bounce to the pharmaceutical industry and vaccines. If you just type that chicken pox or shingles or vaccines or whatever we're talking about that you're interested in, I would always look for, make sure you're typing in very specific information for what you want to look for, because mainstream medicine is always going to tell you need a pill, you need a vaccine, you need a shot, you need a something, instead of more holistic ways to combat those things.
Yeah, that's a good point. And honestly, you can find for either side. Absolutely. You can find information for either side on whatever you're researching. So, look at both sides, and see what again, using discernment. This is your temple. God gave you this temple. Ask him.
Yes.
What should I do?
Yes. Amen.
Yeah.
Well, we're definitely in an upside down world where abortion is promoted and celebrated. And if you don't believe that, just go watch some social media, because I just saw a video this morning of a woman who was jumping up and down saying her baby was doing a dance in her belly because she was getting an abortion. It's sick. It's sick.
Oh my gosh.
We have our healthcare industry that is thriving on that, and then we have our FDA and food industry that are thriving on chemicals and processed foods and vaccines. So just keeps getting better and better.
It is very upside down.
Yeah.
I don't know a better way to explain it.
I understand now why people are off grid. I follow the ballerina chick and her homesteading that her family has done. And she's the one that won the Mrs. USA last year.
Nice.
And so she kind of blew up on social media. So I watched some of her YouTube videos. I watched a short of her making homemade butter this morning, but anyway,
that's cool.
It is. I've made homemade butter before, but I saw her do something I've never done, because mine didn't turn out very good. But she washed it after she pulled the butter out. She squeezed all the excess milk out of it, and then she washed it. And so I wonder, and then she put garlic and rosemary and salt in it. It looked amazing.
Ooh.
I know.
Ooh. You'll have to link that one. I want to watch it.
Okay. It's not, making butter is not hard. It's time consuming, but you just throw milk into a mixer and let it go. But anyway, yeah.
Yep.
Making your own food. I mean, I do everything from scratch. I was even thinking about it this morning, what would it be like to have a true scratch bakery where you even make your own butter? Wouldn't that be amazing?
Oh, the taste would be amazing. I can tell you that.
Right?
There's nothing like it, really.
I made bread last weekend. I made croissants and baguettes. I made Tyler some hot dog and hamburger buns. And I made small croissants, so it was easy to just have a little croissant sandwich for breakfast with bacon and eggs.
Nice.
Yeah, they weren't very big, so it was kind of perfect. But
that's cool.
I love to bake. I just don't need to eat it.
Yeah, that would be really hard for me.
I did. I took some of the baguettes to my in-laws, and I like to bake and give it away.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, I would have to do that because I would want to eat them.
mhm.
It would be, yeah, that would be dangerous. So, yeah, just saying. Yeah, but at least it's a lot healthier, you know, what it is that you're eating. So it's,
Yeah, absolutely. We would not buy bread from a grocery store
you
today.
can control.
I went to the
Oh,
whole reason I did it was because I went to the store. Tyler wanted to grill and he wanted hamburgers and hot dogs. And I went to the store and looked through every single bread that they had on the shelf, and every single one of them had so many crappy ingredients. Seed oils primarily were the thing I was trying to avoid, and you can't get away from them. It doesn't matter how healthy the bread is supposed to be, how clean it's supposed to be, they all have seed oils in them. So I came home and
well,
made,
the ingredients are like this long.
I know, and I came home and
Ingredient
made
list. It's
bread.
crazy.
I used avocado oil, and guess what? It tastes fine. True
No way.
statement. It tastes just fine.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
So anyway, it just doesn't have a shelf life because it doesn't have preservatives. So he has to eat them quickly.
Right. Right. And we have freezers. So there is that, you know, if you need to freeze something.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. Because the bread I buy actually has like, I think 5 ingredients. And I don't eat a lot of it.
Yeah.
So it has to be in the freezer because there's no preservatives. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Yep. It's all good. All good when you do it yourself. Yeah.
Yeah.
So if you're interested in some holistic recipes, some how to do your own, or if you have one that you want to share, please do it in the comment section
No,
below.
please do.
You love
Yeah.
your own food.
Yep. Yep. And we'll drop some in the show notes too.
Yeah.
We'll drop some videos and stuff so you can see different people that you can follow also and see,
Yeah.
you know, what are they doing?
Yeah. Good times. Well, thanks so much for tuning in. We hope that you gained some knowledge in this one because we kind of went a little all over the place, but we touched on some topics that are very close to our heart. So let us know if you have any suggestions or questions, and please remember to like, subscribe, share, and comment anything you have to say below, and we will see you next week. Bye, everybody.
Bye.